So we have a lot of questions from the audience. We would like to ask you some questions.
Yeah, this is Rahul here.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Rahul here.
Hi, Rahul. This is Indian Youth Climate Network.
Yes, hi.
Yeah. So we are having you on the hot seat here for our climate Satyagrah camp for COP15.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you're on the hot seat to answer some really burning questions back home in India for the activists gathered from all parts of the country, including from, we have farmers from Bundelkhand here. We have community members from Assam. We have people from Punjab and Himachal. We also have people from Maharashtra and Vidarbha.
That's
They're all
fantastic.
waiting to ask you questions.
Yes, please go right ahead. I'm waiting to answer the questions.
Yeah. Just a moment. Your voice is not very clear.
Hello?
Yeah, we're just increasing the volume so that people are able to hear you clearly.
Sure.
Okay, Rahul. So, we want to know, people back in India want to know that how proactive do you think is the film fraternity doing? What is it you think is it doing to fight climate change?
I think the film community at this point of time has just begun lending its voice to the issue. There have been campaigns, I think, by NDTV, CNN, IBN, where I have seen actors and actresses from the film community coming out and taking part in those campaigns. One person I can think of straight off the bat is Preeti Zinta. Priyanka has lent her voice. Uh, I think in terms of being more active than they have right now, this is something that I think is invariably a sort of a demand that is placed on film actors when I think the same demand should be placed on anybody from civil society. So at this point of time, it's fair to say that there are a few people from all walks of life voicing their and joining the fight for climate change, and the same is true in the film industry. How active or passive they are, I think it would be arrogant for you and me to stand and to sit in judgment and say this person is doing more work than that person.
Okay. So the next question is, what is your personal commitment when you come back?
I've been saying this to all the youth here on the network, and I'll say it again. My commitment is to come back and, with Oxfam India, raise awareness of what happened in Copenhagen in the immediate term and also what the issues facing the world for Mexico are, especially in the urban areas where it's my personal belief that there isn't enough of, call it outrage, call it education, call it sensitivity to the topic, and also to work with youth groups like yours, as well as with Planet Alert, of which I am an ambassador, to actually spread the messages through colleges. I was suggesting that maybe we do 15 colleges across, or 15 venues across the country over maybe 2 months, and I go and speak at at all these venues along with a presentation that you guys can make.
Oh, great. So we have your commitment on that. My
Yes, you do.
team is happy to hear that.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Okay, next question. What, according to you, is the role of youth in fighting climate change? I understand you partly answered that, but again, we would like you to speak more on that.
Well, I think that the greatest information sharers on the planet today are the youth. They do it informally and personally every day on Facebook and Orkut and other social networking sites and email, as well as through their phones. And so they have the most time to information share, and they also have the most interest in new technologies. So the first thing that I think the role of youth is to do is to disseminate the information coming out of Copenhagen and disseminate the information basically to educate the public about various relevant parallel lines between the issue of climate change and what how it affects India, in the sense that 7 out of 10 Indians are dependent on the climate for their livelihood. Our farmers, our fisher folk, and our foresters. So I think the role of the youth will be to disseminate basic information on climate change and how it affects India, and then to actually disseminate information on what happened in Copenhagen. And the third step would be how to actually prepare for Mexico.
Right. You're talking about Mexico again and again. Do you think Copenhagen Summit is not reaching the end that we believed it would, and that's the end that we are trying to reach?
Incontrovertibly, I believe that it is nowhere close to what anybody had in mind coming into Copenhagen 2-3 months before, or the hopes. It's not even a fraction of that. So there's massive amounts of road to travel. I would say 90% of the road will still be left untraveled after Copenhagen.
We have a few more questions for you from the farmers in Bundelkhand, and I will ask those questions from you in Hindi now.
Sure, and I'll answer in Hindi.
Yeah, cool. Okay. भारत के जिन इलाकों में जलवायु असंतुलन की वजह से सूखा, अवर्षा, असमय वर्षा से फसलों के उत्पादन में प्रभाव पड़ा है, भूख, आत्महत्या, कुपोषण के हताश हुए हैं, उनकी जिम्मेदारी आधिकारिक उत्सर्जन देशों को लेना चाहिए। क्या वह इस पर विचार कर रहे हैं या किसानों की तबाही की जिम्मेदारी ले रहे हैं?
देखिए, ये सिद्धांतों का एक लड़ाई हो रहा है यहाँ पे कि डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज़ कह रहे हैं कि हम सब कुछ क्लाइमेट चेंज को कंट्रोल करने के लिए हम तैयार हैं, लेकिन इसके लिए जो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज़ हैं उन्हें भी इमिशन कट्स लेना होगा। ये बहुत पुराना और बहुत फजूल का एक बहस है, क्योंकि हमारे उसूल, और मैं समझता हूँ कि ह्यूमैनिटी के उसूल के आधार पर अगर हम जाएं तो फिर हमें देखना पड़ता है कि अभी तक इतिहास में अगर आपने 80% क्लाइमेट चेंज के बारे, ग्लोबल वार्मिंग के लिए आप जिम्मेदार हो, तो आप पे ही ये बनता है कि आप जब हम सुधार लाएं तो आप 80% का जो जिम्मेदारी है वो आप लें। तो ये पोजीशन डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज़ देखने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, लेने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा कि वो कह रहे कि नहीं, बिल्कुल हमारे किसान की डिस्ट्रक्शन हो जाए, इंडिया में तबाही हो